Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
This is...
Right, so here we are, Brad Pauls, back in your motherland.
Yep.
What's Christmas like for you?
This one's a bit different. No booze, training every day. But yeah, family time is the main thing. Recharge your batteries and gearing up for a big year next year.
Nice. Well, here we are at Rebellion in Newquay. It's like a bar and grill place. If you haven't been here, get yourself here. Stop feeding your kids those chicken Play-Doh nuggets. Look, if you fancy giving them something a bit more extravagant, take them down there. Have you been in here before?
A couple times, yeah.
The roast, I've heard the roasts are good.
I hadn't had a roast, to be fair.
Oh mate, I've heard the roasts are absolutely banging. It's one of the top 3 places in and around this area to do it. So if you are going to go for a roast, get yourself here.
That's it.
So now that you're obviously, are you off at the minute, or have you got a fight sort of in the works that you're sort of still sort of eating right and with your mind on, or is it still a bit vague at the moment?
It's the actual fight sorted. It's what date it's going to be. So it'll either be the last weekend of Feb or the first weekend of March. So
now you obviously told me who that was. Is it still the same opponent? I don't.
What I told you.
You told me, but I don't want to obviously disclose anything that obviously
I can
isn't
say who it
official
is.
yet.
I just can't announce.
Yeah, who was it?
Tyler Denny.
Yeah, that's
the one.
That's
English
the one.
champ.
That's
Yeah.
the one. So with that, then are you looking at taking obviously the English and then moving on to the British again, same sort of route as before?
That's it. So this fight's English title fight, and it doubles up as a British title final eliminator.
Right. Okay.
So it's sort of like the winner gets the English and guarantees a shot at the British.
Right. Okay.
So it's like double whammy, like loads to gain from one fight.
So now obviously your last fight was obviously really competitive. You obviously went down to the wire. Before that, you and Linus, obviously who unfortunately lost that night, you were both sort of undefeated before you went into that fight. So you both had this sort of similar mind state. With you taking the W and him taking the L on the night, have you noticed any sort of differences in, say, like in Linus compared to yourself, or how it was before?
With Linus, I think in a weird, it's funny how boxing works, but in a way he's come out looking quite good. Yeah. Even though he lost, and it's how he lost. He lost real close fight.
Really close.
And it could have been either way. And then you look at Denzel now. So he went on to fight for a world title against a knockout king and went the points. And then he defended the British and knocked out a good prospect in a couple of rounds. So like sort of states Linus's ability, and obviously Linus beat Tyler Denny. And then since then, look how well Tyler Denny's done. So It's not like Linus's credibility hasn't dipped that much, really.
No.
If anything, it's gone up.
Going back to obviously like for Christmas then, so I suppose it's difficult when you've got Christmas, your family, those influences around you. I suppose it's hard to stay on track with what you consume. Because if you was off and you knew you was off, say, for a long period of time, what would you do? What's your sort of kryptonite?
Just I cut back on the training a little bit. Obviously the diet relaxes. One sec.
Don't worry, we'll cut that out.
Lucky I bought a drink here. Probably poorly or something.
I know what it is. It's because it's the big moment of being in the rebellion. That's what it is. It's
I know the pressure's crumbled.
That's literally, you started off in Newquay and now you're back here still.
I'm back in Newquay. What was the question again?
It was, so obviously if you're off and you know that you haven't got to fight for a good amount of time, when you're at home at Christmas, what is your like kryptonite? What do you like to sort of indulge in?
To be honest, when I was younger, I did used to have a beer and that, a rattler and a cider, but I've stopped drinking, and it's absolutely changed my life.
We'll be coming to Healy's as well for that little name drop there as well. I want 50%.
I'd love to be sponsored by Rattler, but
no, you won't. You'll end up down the Ricky Hatton route. I know. You don't want that.
But I stopped drinking. I had my last drink in June, and it's just made my life 10 times better. I was constantly stayed in shape, and with me, if I drink, I won't train.
Yeah.
There's no two ways. I'm a wuss of a hangover. So me, I haven't drank since June. I've trained every day since I've been back. I think that's the first time ever. Been in Newquay and trained every day. So normally, I would have a drink in that, but mate, it's just lifestyle, isn't it? And what I'm doing myself a favour, because when I go back into full training camp in January, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm not playing catch up, and I feel great and I feel good. just, I think we're getting old, aren't we? And you learn your lessons, didn't you?
Well, the thing is, this is it. Like, and you look at the likes of, you know, Paddy the Baddy in the UFC. You know, his weight fluctuates so much in between fights that it kind of baffles me how he even does it. Because with yourself, you've always stayed in shape. I've never once seen you and gone, fucking hell, Brad's got 3 chins. Like, you never see it. You've always stayed in shape. But, you know, maybe that is the key to longevity. But do you reckon you could do that? Or do you reckon...
What, get fat in between?
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, no one stays near their fight weight. I don't care who you are. Like, it doesn't happen. And you have to... If you live too strict, you'd burn out and you wouldn't last your whole career. So you got to enjoy yourself in between. But as long as you don't affect the next performance with how bad you've got out of shape, and like some fighters coming in like 3-4 stone overweight in the first 4 or 5 weeks of their camp is just like fat fighters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Weight Watchers, and it's like...
I mean,
you're not learning too much running on a treadmill. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have heard that it's difficult. I mean, it's easy for like us as armchair fans to like try and put your mind in the shoes of a boxer. But I suppose it's you know, is it hard? Say, have you ever put weight on where you've struggled to sort of get it off, or you've noticed that it's had a bit of a hindrance and you thought to yourself, I'm not doing that again. I'm gonna be a bit more stricter.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've put on weight in between fights, and the first couple of weeks, it's just everything's a slog.
Yeah.
Like I put on a bit of weight, and even when I do my runs, I can feel it's bad for my knees and my ankles because there's weight there that shouldn't be there.
Exactly. I know all about that at the minute. I've put on a hell of a lot of weight over the last year, and just walking up the stairs feels like I've just done an hour on a treadmill. So I'm definitely trying to cut back this year, but I've picked the wrong time. It's right by Christmas, and you know what it's like.
Yeah, starting January.
Now with the likes of Paddy the Baddy, obviously, he was relatively a no name really until he just burst onto the scene with his sort of character. Now these characters in the UFC and boxing, do you think that sort of being a character nowadays is what gets you that top earner rather than being a credible fighter?
Yeah, definitely. You can see it all over boxing. In the end of the day, you're a brand, you're a product, and you've got to sell yourself as well as be good at boxing. Yeah. So like, you can say like, look at the YouTubers. They built their name first before they built their ability. And obviously, it's a numbers game, and everything normally comes back to money. If someone brings in more money because of their numbers, then they'll get the opportunity, they get the platform. But starting from the outside coming in, building your name when you ain't got a famous dad, famous granddad, famous uncle, you don't know no one, it's a hard business to get into. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, because you're quite a down to earth guy, so like you don't. I've never really seen you do anything that's out of character. But have you ever thought like just to go, fuck it, I'm gonna put it all on red or black and just go and gamble and do something wild at a weigh-in, like just turn up in a mankini or just throwing threats out? Have you ever thought just like, fuck it, I'm going in?
The thing is, yeah, like you know it would work and stuff, and see it works from other people.
What would you do? What would you do?
Fucking
would you come in like Tyson Fury and come in a Batman suit, or would you go in
anything that would get the numbers up? But
throw a table like Derek Chisora.
whatever it takes to get the numbers up. I think like it'd be too out of character.
Yeah.
And I feel like people see through it. You can't. If you fake it too much, people know you. And if it's not genuine, then people don't really like not genuine people. Do you know what I mean? And me growing up, I always watched Ricky Hatton, and he didn't have to do any of that stuff. He was just, and he sold insane amount of tickets, did brilliant numbers, and he was just a nice guy, like a normal guy down the pub. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably stayed with me. That's my approach. Like.
So obviously, with that as well, it's like it brings me back because obviously you mentioned about when you used to watch Ricky Hatton. What fight was it that you watched in your early days? What was the fight that made you go, do you know what? I proper fancy getting punched in the face for a living.
It's so long ago, mate. Like, it's not possible. I must have been like 8 or 9 when I first watched a boxing match.
Yeah.
So it was just some boxing match. But then from then I got into Ricky Hatton. And I always remember the fight. This was a few years down the line. I've been boxing for a bit, but at Costa Zoo.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was his moment, you know what I mean? Yeah, he was like, there was no stopping him, and I like that.
He was relentless.
I like that mentality, like, kill or be killed, do you know what I mean?
So, and then obviously with that as well, after, I think, did you see his last little exhibition fight?
Yeah, a little bit of it. Yeah.
It's difficult, it's hard because, I mean, I don't mind these exhibition fights because obviously you get to see some of your old heroes that you liked watching.
Yeah.
Is that something that you could see yourself doing, like once your time has passed, if you made it to a certain standard that you was happy with?
Do you know what, it's hard to say no, because you can see it gives him like a purpose. Like he was fat, wasn't he, Rakitic, and then he had the purpose of having an exhibition that gives you a reason to train. And I know that more than anyone. If you don't have a reason to train, it's really hard. Like, if you've got to fight data, you know you're not fighting, it's hard to. So, never say never, but yeah, maybe once I retire, I'll just happily be a coach and just chill out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not have the stress.
I mean, what would you say is the ideal age to like cut off boxing? Because you'll see a lot of people, they sort of stay, not past their welcome, but past their best of basically being able to defend themselves. Because let's be honest, it's not necessarily the fights themselves overall, it's mostly the punches that you're receiving, and the aim of the game is to hit and not be hit, as they say. So what age would you say is a good age to call it a day?
It's hard to put a number on it because it depends how you've lived. Like, look at Rakitic, right? So he partied heavy in between his fights, and then by 31 he was done. Like it was not the same. He visibly you could see he's not the same. And the other fighters who didn't drink, lived a healthy lifestyle, and they were, say like Golovkin, and he was amazing at 34. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to put a number on it, but every person's different, every genetics are different. But if you haven't had too many wars, you've lived a good life, you can probably go to mid-30s.
Do you see the likes of, say, like Chris Eubank Jr. as well? Obviously, the fight with Liam Smith coming up. He's one that seems to look after himself between fights. He reckons he could go till he's about 40 years old. Yeah. Do you think that is possible nowadays if you do stick to the right sort of diet?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a little bit. It's obviously got good genetics and that. He doesn't drink, probably helps him a little bit. I don't think he does any drugs or anything like that.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Stay in school.
Yeah, stay in school.
But he probably could, but he hasn't had too many like wars and stuff as well. So yeah, you can see it happening. But
what do you reckon happens on the 21st of January? Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. Do you think that? It's a tough one, isn't it? Because it is a genuine 50-50 fight.
It is, isn't it? It is. And I rate Liam Smith.
Like, I like Liam Smith because he's gritty. He proper takes the fight to his opposition. Doesn't give him a second breather. Eubank loves them sort of fighters though, especially if they're coming to and they're walking onto him. You just don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Apparently they've sparred before. Obviously,
it's different.
It's all different. But it's definitely one of the fights that I've been looking forward to of late.
Yeah, I think Eubank can be outboxed. You've seen that. He's limited in some aspects. But if you take it down to like engine and like strength, then that's where if he brings it to just that level, not the boxing level, then he can beat probably most people. But
do you think he's improved under Roy Jones Jr. or do you think he's
a little bit?
It's weird because I'm used to seeing him throwing them outrageous uppercuts and like I said, unbelievable combinations when he gets them backed up. Whereas this time it seems to be a bit more composed. He's trying to jab more. He's trying to do a lot of check jabs and things like that. Where I see him trying to implement it. Do you think it's too late for him to go to try and implement that into his game, or do you think he should stick to?
I think you can always add to the game. Do you know what I mean? It's a good thing to add, but I don't think it's too late to change his whole style. Yeah. But you can add little elements that are better. But at the end of the day, his main strength is engine, strength, like come forward, 50 uppercuts in a row. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that fight against Spike Sullivan, I'll never forget that one because there was a lot of animosity before the fight. There was a lot of build-up, a lot of trash talk, and when they got in the ring, it was like everything clicked for Eubank on that night, and those uppercuts. I think that was one of the first punches he landed. I think he led with an uppercut.
Yeah,
What's your favourite weight class to watch now?
It's got to be middle, super middle, I think.
Middle, super middle.
Yeah, it's a busy category. Like,
I don't know if it's just because of the talent in there, but I've really got into like watching the lightweight.
Oh really?
Yeah.
They got a busy division, didn't they? Was that Javonte Davis?
Yeah. Javonte Davis.
Ryan Garcia.
Teofimo. Yeah. As well. I mean, there is talks of the Ryan Garcia fight and Tank.
Yeah.
If that does happen next year, who do you reckon gets it?
Maybe like Tank late on, I reckon.
Yeah.
We'll get to him. Yeah.
Ouch!
Promoted really well at Ryan Garcia, but obviously he's definitely good enough. But he knows how to work the algorithm and stuff on Instagram, which boosts his numbers up, which makes more money. But yeah, you put yourself in them situations, you open yourself up to criticism. And that comes with anything, whether you're humble or you're flashy, you're just putting yourself in that situation. So yeah, like I thought I'd get, I don't know why, but I thought I'd get a lot of hate and criticism and that. But I never did, everyone's just been sound.
I think but again, it's because you're so, I think, let's be honest, no one wants to be hated, right? Everyone wants to be loved. Anyone who says, oh yeah, I love to be hated, you've got some serious social issues, you need to go and get them sorted, is speak to someone.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? And if you fake it, you get found out.
It's weird though, because you look at Tyson Fury, he has so many people who love him and think he's the best thing since sliced bread, and then you've got the other side who absolutely hate him because they want to see the loudmouth lose.
It's like Mayweather said, it's like they're paid to see me win or they're paid to see me lose, but they're still paying.
Exactly.
So as long as they're paying, that's obviously all he cares about, some money. But
so bringing this to sort of a close, what's your plans after this?
I'm going gym. What, today?
Gonna go gym. He just came in, literally limping, complaining that he's been put through the walls, and now he's going back out there for more. That's the difference between you boxers. Like you're secret self-harmers. That's what you are. You enjoy
sadistic, love the abuse, love the pain. You've got to be a bit nuts.
I'm scared of a hangover, mate. Never mind of a left hook. I'm all right. I'm good. So for Christmas, all sorted then, all presents sorted?
Yeah, all sorted, mate. Well, I ordered my partner's present on 29th of November and it's not come. So
that's a good excuse, you know. I'm going to use that one.
We've got all these strikes going on and that.
It's the strikes. I'm going to say that. If I use that one, my missus will be striking me, never mind the poster. So I think, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to see you. Good.
Mate,
You're
pleasure,
looking
healthy.
Looking healthy. New year, so when are you back in camp?
Probably like 1st, 2nd of Jan. And then flat out then, it'll be 8 weeks, 9 weeks till I fight.
Nice.
And then, full on, 100%.
How many times you plan on getting out this year?
If I fight there, it'll be probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
If it all goes to plan, win my next one, get a British shot, fight in the summer, fight again at the end of the year.
Completely forgot to ask you, what is your promotional team at the moment?
I'm not in a long-term